Imagine this. You wake up in the morning. Everything seems fine. Your body moves. Your mind works. The world around you works as it should. But inside, there's a hum. Emptiness. Heavy. Sticky. You cannot understand where she is from. Everything is fine, right? There is a roof over your head. There is food. There are people. There is meaning in life. But it is not felt. You look at the screen, at the faces of others, and you see how everyone seems to be living better, more joyful, freer, and you feel even emptier. You tell yourself, I should be grateful. But gratitude doesn't activate. It doesn't click. You feel guilty for feeling bad, even though you seem to have everything. This is where the crack begins. You don't understand that emptiness isn't a mistake. It's a signal from your mind. You're not living by your own meaning. You've believed your whole life that happiness is a result, like an equation. Do arrow, get arrow, be happy. But psychology says otherwise. Happiness is a process of perception, not an achievement. Insight 1, the illusion of everything is fine. The brain isn't designed for peace. It's designed for survival. When you have everything, it loses its purpose and begins to create internal deficits. It's his way of keeping you in the game. He looks for a threat, even when there isn't one. He looks for a problem, even when everything is perfect. That's why you feel anxious in your comfort and empty in your abundance. Inner hunger isn't a mistake. It's biology. Without it, you would stop. But you've confused hunger for life with hunger for things. You think a new phone, a new girlfriend, a new goal will fill the hole. But the hole isn't outside. It's inside your thinking patterns. Insight 2. The reward system has been reset. The brain is wired like a drug addict. It craves dopamine. Every achievement is like a small shot of pleasure. But the more doses, the less effective. You're chasing after what used to give you a sense of meaning. And now, nothing. Because your neurons are tired. Your emotions have become dull. Your habits have become automatic. You don't feel joy not because life is bad, but because your brain has adapted. Adaptation is the killer of emotions. It makes even happiness seem dull. You want stability, but stability kills inner growth. Paradoxical, right? The brain wants peace, but the soul wants movement. Insight 3. Losing the core of meaning. When you have everything, you first face the question, who am I if I don't need anything? This question is frightening, because without need, there is no direction. You no longer pursue, and the brain loses structure. It collapses into silence. But it is precisely in this silence that there is opportunity. Emptiness is not an enemy. It is a clear field in which a new self can grow. You can start listening to yourself and not to other people's expectations. You can ask yourself, what makes me alive and not just busy? Psychology calls this an existential awakening, a moment when old programs break down and the mind searches for new meaning. Most people get scared and run back, but you can stay. Insight 4. Values are misplaced. Modern culture forces you to confuse pleasure with satisfaction. You seek stimulation, not depth. But stimulation doesn't make you happy. It makes you dependent. You check your phone, not for information, but for a tiny dose of confirmation. Every like is a micro hit to your dopamine receptors. You feel alive for 3 seconds. Then, emptiness again, and the brain demands repetition. This is how dependence on external approval develops. You lose confidence because you cease to be your own source of energy. Insight 5. Broken communication with yourself. You know how to communicate with people, but you've forgotten how to communicate with yourself. Always busy, always on. You fear silence, because in it you hear a voice that is too honest. This voice says what you've ignored for years. I'm lonely. I'm tired of pretending. I want a different life. You drown out these thoughts with activities, TV shows, and relationships. But the more noise, the louder the emptiness becomes. Psychology calls this cognitive dissonance. When the mind says one thing, but behavior says another, the brain can't handle the duality. It resets. That's why you feel tired, even if you haven't done anything. The mind wastes energy trying to align your behavior with your truth. But your truth has long been hidden under a layer of other people's expectations. You've become a product of other people's ideas. And now you don't feel real. You live in a simulation where everyone smiles, but no one is happy. Where everyone talks about freedom, but is afraid to be alone. You feel your confidence dissolving. You seem strong, but inside, you're fragile. Any criticism hurts. Any silence frightens. Insight 6. Loss of inner leadership. You're no longer the center of your system. You're now controlled by algorithms, habits, and emotions. You're no longer the master of your own thinking, but it can be restored. Not through motivation, not through positive attitudes, but through honesty. Acknowledging that you're empty is already a step toward fulfillment. Acknowledging that you don't feel anything is already a form of awareness. You're not broken, you're simply waking up. The brain is plastic. It can rewrite even the most ingrained habits. But first, you need to stop. Feel, not run away. Insight 7. Transformation through observation. You can't change what you don't notice. But as soon as you begin to observe yourself, everything changes. Notice when you feel anxious, when you reach for your phone, when you seek approval. Every time, it's not weakness, it's a signal. The brain is asking for a reboot. It wants silence. It wants meaning, not stimulation. You can give him this through attention, breathing, solitude, through honest conversation with yourself. This is returning to contact with reality. Not external, but internal. The one where confidence is born, where strength is formed. You begin to understand. Emptiness is not an enemy, but a space for growth. You don't have to fill it. You have to move through it. Every emotion, even pain, is the language of your subconscious. Your brain speaks to you not with words, but with sensations. You simply stopped listening, but now you can learn again. Listen, there's rhythm, life, breath, meaning inside. And suddenly you start noticing simple things. The sound of the wind, the movement of light on the wall, the softness of your breathing. And this is reality. The world ceases to be flat. You taste again. You regain your presence, and the emptiness dissolves. Insight 8. True fulfillment. True strength doesn't come from having everything. It comes from not being afraid of losing anything. When you're not dependent, you're free. Freedom is not the opposite of control. It is a state of inner balance. When the mind is calm and the heart is not hungry, you begin to understand that confidence isn't armor. It's the knowledge that you can handle it, even if everything disappears. Psychology calls this inner resilience, something that can't be bought, something that's born in a moment of emptiness. It's precisely where there is nothing that the real I begins, pure, without roles, without noise. You stop pretending, you stop playing strong, and for the first time, you just exist. You don't seek meaning, you become meaning. Your very presence begins to fill the space. This isn't mysticism. This is the psychology of the awakened mind. When thinking ceases to be a defense, but becomes an instrument of clarity, you no longer run after emotions. You observe them. You don't run from pain. You feel it, and you become stronger. The brain is no longer an enemy. It is an ally. The void is no longer an enemy. It is an entrance to the depths. And now you know, to be filled, you must become empty. To find yourself, you must become lost. You walked through the noise. through false meanings, through habits, through the fear of loneliness. And now you feel silence is not absence, it is fullness. It is peace in which everything is present. You no longer search because you have found, not something outside, but yourself. And now you know the truth. Emptiness is not the end, it's the beginning.